There are two reasons why you need to get the balance on your telescope mount correct. The first is to protect your gear. You know, if the balance is wrong, it's going to unnecessarily strain the motors in your equatorial mount, and this could in the long term damage your equipment, or it can also lead to incorrect tracking. The second reason why you're going to want to balance correctly is to ensure that you can take long exposures, 5 minutes, 10 minutes and above, and still get nice round sharp stars with no star trailing. Make sure you stay to the end of this video so that you can see exactly how to balance your mount, and at the end I'm going to give you 1 or 2 extra tips which will enable you to really start your astrophotography journey on the right foot. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, please take a moment to like and subscribe. So here I've got my telescope set up and my camera, and I'm going to show you how to balance your telescope mount. Now before I do anything else, I must caution you first of all to make sure that this is nice and tight on the saddle here. You don't want your telescope falling on the ground. And secondly, as I've made a really stupid mistake before, I actually tried balancing my telescope with all the cables wrapped round my telescope as I normally put everything away. So what I've done this time is I've totally removed all of my cables, and I do suggest that you get the cables out of the way so that there's nothing snagging. Okay, so the other thing you can see is from my telescope setup, the camera is protruding quite a bit, and the focuser comes off my Newtonian telescope here at quite a distance here, and my Autoguiding camera is also attached. You want to make sure that all your accessories are attached as you normally use them, because you want the weight to simulate exactly as it is when you're imaging. Okay, having done all that, we're ready to start with the balancing procedure. Now, there is some discussion going on between many people whether you should start with the deck here. So declination is this part here, and this controls the telescope moving side to side this way, horizontally this way and this way. So this is called declination, DEC, or DEC for short. Now this here is the counterweight. You should have a heavy weight at the end here, and this is going to counterbalance the telescope. This is the RA axis. This is rotating, as you can see, this is rotating in the circular motion that you can see here, and this is called right ascension, or RA for short. So we put this again in the neutral position. If you're being really observant, you'll see that I've turned round my mount so that you can actually see the clutches here. The clutch for the RA axis is here. Can you see? I'm releasing the clutch, and then I can turn it in this. We must lock it in position. We must lock it in position, and the same on the deck or declination. The clutch is actually here. Can you see this here? Here's the clutch, and I release it by turning anti-clockwise, and now my mount is. Okay, so the first step is to balance the declination axis. So I release the clutch here. This is the clutch. I release the clutch here by turning anti-clockwise, and I let my mount go into the horizontal position. When I put it level in the horizontal position, it's just moving a little bit, but not too much. Is release this knob here, undo this knob here, but be very, very careful, because you need to support the telescope from the back because if you undo this, the telescope can fall. And I'm going to loosen this just a little bit, and I'm going to move this backwards or forwards. Let's move it forwards, making sure to keep the telescope completely flat to the plate. Tighten it up, really tighten it up. You don't want this falling out. And now let's see what's changed. It's still heavy at the front. It's too heavy at the front, do you see? So what I need to do is I need to move it back. So again, loosen that ever so slightly and let it come back a bit. Loosen the clutch. It's actually quite well balanced now, as you can see. Okay, lock your clutch, and now I'll go to the right ascension axis. This is the one with the counterweight. So I'll make this go this side. And then you see if I've got it horizontal, let's see what happens. And it's tipping up this way. Be careful it doesn't go. So what happens when I go horizontal on this side? Same thing. So it's tipping up. What I need to do is I need to move the counterweight in. So let's just move it a fraction. It's still tipping up. Now let's come over to this side. Yeah, so that means I need to come in a little bit more. Let's move it over. Be sure you can see that's getting a bit better. Come on to this side. It's still tipping up, but it has got a little bit better, so I would say we need to move it in just a touch more. Let's do that. Tighten up the weights. What's it like now? We've got no movement now. Let's come onto this side. That's pretty near perfect as we can get, because we can never get perfect balance. You can see I've got odds sticking out here, and depending on what position the mount is in, the balance will be slightly different. However, we're approximately there. Make it east heavy. Well, what exactly does that mean? Well, normally with the mount we should be pointing towards the polar star here. I've also got another video which explains polar alignment. You can take a look at that. I'll leave the link down in the description for you. So imagine that this is pointing due north, and in fact it is. That is due north. As I'm facing from the back of the telescope, I'm looking north. My east is on my right hand side. So when they say that the mount should be east heavy, it should be balanced east heavy, what they actually mean is that when you put the telescope, so I'm turning it in right ascension now, so that's this way and this way. So right ascension, I put it over to the eastern side. Okay, so I make that horizontal, and the counterweight here is on my left side. So what I need to do to make that slightly east heavy is I need to make the counterweight a bit lighter. So I'll move this very, very slightly. East heavy. Yes, it's just dropping down a little bit. We put our mount onto the western side. It's just moving up here eastward. It's just lifting, do you see, eastward. which is what we want. So that's probably correct. East heavy. Moving to the east. Perfect balance will never be possible, so don't spend, ages and ages to do this. All you need to do is get approximately a good feel for balancing your kit. Every setup will be different. Like I said, mine could be a little bit problematic because this is quite heavy, this camera, and that's quite a long distance there. So the balance will never be perfect. But now my telescope is reasonably well balanced. It should help me with my longer exposures. I'd really appreciate it, really help me out if you'd like the video, and if you really got some value from this video, then I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel.